introduce you to the idea of sameness within the martial arts. You see, we're all humans, and with the exception of birth defects and injury, we have a head, a body, 2 arms, and 2 feet, well, 2 legs. You might only have 2 feet, but anyway, the point is that there's only a small variety of things we can do. There may be a few degrees of variation due to joint flexibility, due to training styles, whatever, but for the most part, punch is a punch, a kick is a kick, a tie-up is a tie-up. Going through my Shuai Jiao book, the majority of the throws are the same as judo throws. Granted, it actually shares a root of the lineage of judo too, so I mean, it's kind of a not fair thing to say, but the fact is that when you look at the variety of takedowns just available to a human, there's not that many. I mean, it's a lot of the same. And this idea can be carried through to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 principle. Tim Ferriss is big on this. Elliot Hulse has mentioned it. Most success coaches talk about it. I believe Seth Godin has mentioned it. The 80-20 principle basically says that you get 80% of your results from the initial 20% of the work. And it takes the remaining 80% of work to reach that final 20%. Now, if you find that you're absolutely in love with something, truly and dearly, go the full 100%, by all means, by all means. But I want you to understand that because of this degree of sameness between the arts, that you can find, the dog is chasing the cat, you can find that your training will benefit actually from kind of skipping around place to place a little bit until you find what truly resonates with you. Perhaps the first thing you try is what resonates with you. Perhaps it's not. I know several people who have a horrible first, second, third experience with martial arts because they keep hooking up with instructors that may have had good marketing, good sales pitch, whatever, and yet couldn't follow through, or their training partners were just of the lowest caliber or whatever. It's important to be able to find something that resonates well with you. And the fact is that the more you try, the easier it is to excel in the next thing, because you can kind of build off of that idea. Bringing up Tim Ferriss once again, he mentioned in one talk that he was doing that when he learns a language, the first language he learned, I believe he said, was Japanese, and he uses that language that he understands to learn the next language, so he piggybacks off of each, and that helps him not only advance but solidify what he already knows. And it's a fantastic approach. The same thing with martial arts. Done 3 different styles of Kempo, vastly different from each other at a cursory look, but then as you go deeper you realize they are really just varying expressions of the same. And yes, there is going to be a greater difference between hard styles and soft styles, grappling and striking. I mean, we've talked about this before, but this idea of sameness and the 80-20 thing is the idea that you don't necessarily have to master a system in order to be a good martial artist. In fact, not even to be an excellent martial artist. Mastering a system is really purely for those of you who truly have fallen in love with your art. The idea also being that within the first few ranks, if your school deals with ranks, or within the first few months, first couple of years, you should have the majority of the functioning parts of the style. Yes, any style that's worth its salt will have greater degrees of refinement as you go on, and of course the black belt levels or the advanced levels will always have little tweaks and things that will make the art that much better. But if you're finding that an art's not speaking to you, that's fine. Take what you've learned and don't throw it out. Use that to piggyback onto the next one. Say you started with boxing or wrestling. We'll use wrestling. Wrestling is really common. I mean, it's a high school sport here in the US. And people can go from wrestling and take the ideas that they know of grappling and then apply them if they're intelligent and they have a good instructor who can work with them. And if you're clever, they can apply those principles to anything else that they're doing. There's just going to be a few tweaks depending on the focus and strategy of the style that they've changed to, whether it be something similar, like say going from Olympic wrestling to catch wrestling, or something a little bit further like wrestling to jiu-jitsu, or wrestling to judo, which is just throwing, or let's say they're moving into striking, wrestling to boxing, wrestling to Muay Thai. There are still principles that are there, and if you're cunning, if you're good at digging, and if you have an instructor that's really worthwhile, you'll be able to apply those lessons to the next art. So don't worry about ranking in an art until you find something that truly, truly, truly speaks to you well. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to go down this journey of something that you hate just to get rank in it because you're being stubborn. Because the fact is, you are going to use the techniques and strategies that resonate with you the most, that you train with the most. And if you hate the training that you're going through, it's time to change something up. But like I said, there is a degree of sameness throughout all of it, and you should be using each piece to piggyback on the next. And like I said, with that 80-20 rule, that first 20% of your effort, your first few ranks, should be more than enough if you're paying attention. That's key. If you're paying attention, to give you the material to springboard into the next thing and make the learning journey that much, I won't say easier, but that much more tangible, that much simpler to grasp. That's all I got for you right now, and I will talk to you next time. Good journey.